Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I've got a bit of a funky replay where I play against an opponent that likes to spam nothing but phantoms, and here is my response to that type of strat. And on top of that, I have a pretty unusual pack, or a pack I think that a lot of people don't like to pick, with the steel balls and the fangs, but I get a lot of hit points, and I think the speed spec is perfect to make these fangs work in an aggro setup. So I think altogether, it should be a nice game for you guys to kind of have an idea on how to play these unusual setups. Opponent here takes his time, but will end up going for the arc lights and the sledges as his opener with the fire badgers. This is a pack that got nerfed recently, arc sledge in terms of hit points. So normally I think it would have had around 5k. Now it's a little bit lower. It is notable, at least. A little bit significant. Of course, I go for 2 arc lights. My opponent goes for 2 crawlers. He's got a pretty decent setup. Sledges usually do quite well into sledges. They've got good stalling capabilities, but that's why we play on one side. I play the fangs on the front lines here, kind of like I would crawlers. We've got the speed spec, so they're not that slow, right? 9 meters a second. Still much slower than the crawlers would be, but good enough to play in this type of a push. Steel balls will go in between the fangs with arc lights in front. I tried to pair up the arc lights here with the steel balls to make sure that the steel balls don't get stuck on crawlers, because they've got the DPS to take down the bigger targets, but they don't really like shooting at chaff. And yeah, here we can see how the arc lights will perform. Get stuck on the sledge, but it quickly goes down, and now the arcs focus their attention on the crawlers. And since we only have to deal with the one steel ball, or the one sledge pack rather, thanks to playing asymmetrical, we managed to get through. A steel ball gets the tower, and I think with that we should be able to pick up the first round here as we just clean up the final arc lights and the sledges. And again, the amount of hit points here really cannot be understated. 5.5k is so much. You have so much time, even if you do have a bad early game, to recover, and that is something that can be factored into the value of a pack. Round 2, we have a bunch of things available. My opponent decides to skip, which I find very surprising. I think any of these could be pickable for him. Maybe not the fortified hacker for him, but for me, it doesn't look too bad, because I know my opponent has sledges. I know he gets a fire badger, and so hacker here doesn't look too bad. But he wants to skip because he wants to start spamming phantom rays. And so 2 phantom rays here on the sides of the battlefield. And I pick up the fortified hacker. The idea here being that I can play something like Fang Carry with the fortified hackers. And for those of you that don't know, fortified hacker has 500% hit points, movement speed is increased by 5, attack by 20%, but it has 35 reduced range. But if we look at this, it almost has 20k hit points, and it moves at 16 meters a second with the speed spec. That's crawler speed, and it's gonna look really funny when you see these guys walk forward, or even waddle forward, I should say. I decided to sell out of a steel ball there because they won't be too useful in the long run, and I really wanted to get 2 hackers. But yeah, look at how sassy those hackers walk forward because of the increased speed that they have. We don't have any anti-air though, or no dedicated anti-air apart from our level 1 fangs, so we'll have to see how that goes. But the hackers are tanky and might be able to survive for long enough for us maybe to get a debuff, and then hopefully the fangs can take over the rest. But with the arc lights now turning their attention to the fangs, a lot of them have gone down, and that's, I don't know, half a pack maybe remaining near the hacker. And we've got 3 more phantoms to take out. The ones on the left should go down, but the final hacker also gets taken out, and I don't think we'll quite be able to finish off our opponent here. We get another phantom, but not enough to win the round. Still sitting comfortably above 5k. And round number 3, we get immediately an answer to the phantoms. I don't have to think too long. Farseer is fantastic. It's also really strong on round 3, level 2 Farseer. And it's a good counter against the phantoms for now. I decided to pick up the hacker barrier here, since he's not the highest of DPS in terms of his board, so should stall for quite a bit. And the added benefit here is my opponent goes for the sticky oil bomb. This is no longer available from the cards, by the way, so it's only available from tower currently. But with the increased speed from the hackers, I think we should be able to simply block all of the oil, or at least parts of it, on this side. And I have enough money to buy another hacker here on the right side with a Fang. And I decided to put a missile to protect my right tower from being cheesed. On the left, we've got the Farseer there on the line of the tower. That will make sure that it does turn if anything were to flank me. And I don't really need much more. My opponent goes for 2 more Phantoms. Also decides to pick up the Vulcan from the drop there, which is why he pairs it up with the oil. But I think I should be in an okay spot here. Also, managed to tank a missile there, so really good value. And yeah, look at that. Oil has been blocked, and we instantly lock onto some sledges. Opponents selling out of the Badgers, realizing that the hackers are perhaps getting too much value, but Vulcan locked onto this hacker, and yeah, 20k hit points is not the easiest to deal with. Does get the help of the Phantoms, but this doesn't look too bad, and the Farseer is just firing away, killing Phantoms left, right, center. We got the debuff. Now we tried to start hacking the Vulcan, but I don't think we'll quite be able to. That's a bit too much to ask, but on the right side my Fangs prevailed, perhaps because of the debuff as well, and I think the Farseer should be able to clean up the rest of the board, and so we take home round number 3. Very nice. A little bit more damage, and that sends my opponent down to below 4k hit points. There's a level available on the hacker there on the left, and we get advanced power system. I don't take too long to pick this card either because, well, we are speed in this game, right? Speed spec, we've got the fortified hackers, we can click the temp speed on the tower, we just gotta go real fast. 90 meters a second here, and that's without the tower buff, so we can get up to 22 meters a second on these fortified hackers. It's a true sight to behold. Pretty funny card. It doesn't always work, but in some scenarios it can. And we go for the range here on the Fangs. My idea was still to play some type of carry Fang, and I think the ranged Fang should be nice. Can keep them at bay of potential incendiary, and it does pretty well into the Phantoms. And so yeah, we just build more hackers here. We've got our front line. I probably don't need more than 4, but at least we have a solid shield area here to protect us from spells and fire. Obviously, the fire incendiary bomb that's been picked up won't be blocked by the shield. It will still fall onto the ground, kind of slide off the barrier, if you will. And you can see how fast they are. They're so fast that the oil or the fire kind of drops underneath them. We did go temp speed, obviously. I mean, we have to. If only for the meme. And yeah, Fangs here are doing a good job. The Farseer is still sitting pretty in the back. Opponent has leveled his towers though, but we leveled our hacker and it does okay damage here. With the help of the Farseer, we should be able to grab a debuff, and that's still 7 seconds of debuff. With the Fangs on the right, they do just fine. Phantoms really don't like dealing with chaff, so we should come out ahead. And yeah, Farseer cleans up the final Phantom, and that's another pretty good round. And our opponent goes down to sub 3k. Round 5, Orbital Bombardment. Another good card there for us to pick up. Definitely worth grabbing that. Just throw it onto the left side. These are level 1 Phantoms. They can tank at least 1 missile, but they can't tank 2. And, well, when they're still low level, I think it's definitely something that I should be picking up. Opponent taking his time, decides to skip. I can understand that. And here I decided to just grab more Farseers and go for Missile Intercept. However, opponent goes for the Burst mode on his Phantoms. So the Intercept there was meant to be against the regular shots of the Phantom, which can be intercepted because they're missiles. But with the Burst, shifting the attack pattern to 10 missiles being launched all at once, this does kind of counter the interception. Even more so on Farseer, because this tech is not all that efficient. Something like a Factory or a Mustang would be way better. But still, Farseer shots are good against the Phantoms, and I got another tech out of my opponent. Yeah, hackers here are going down quite fast, but oh, great orbital there. Hitting a lot of Phantoms on the left. And I think we should be able to grab the debuff once more. Does look a little bit iffy, but right side is holding strong, and with the debuff and the hacked Vulcan once again, managed to pick up another round. And Farseer's deal more damage than you think. They're quite small, but they do deal 300 damage when they survive, and so now my opponent is down to below 1700. Round 6, we get second round of reinforcements. Rhino, Fortress, Saber, and Tarantula available here. Nothing I want really, so I'm looking to sell. And so because of that, I pick the Rhino, I sell one, and I keep the other to try and hopefully run into the tower here, as we do have a lot of bonus movement speed, and grab this tower. Opponent levels his tower again though, with the level 3, and I decide to pick up Radiance at this stage because it's getting a bit much in terms of Phantom, and it seems like this giant was made to kill Phantoms, right? It fires 3 independent lightning bolts. There's 3 Phantoms on the other side, or in a pack rather. So yeah, really good unit there. Grab the range instantly, and also decide to put some crawlers here on the flank to hopefully distract some of this chaff and get into the tower quicker. This was mostly for the Rhino play. We'll have to see if that plays out. And yeah, here we go. Obviously here, I'm now deciding to loan because I felt like I was getting close to being able to beat my opponent or kill my opponent. And yeah, Radiance there doing a good job. The hackers are stuck on the tower that is level 3 now, but we do get the debuff that's still going to be 5 seconds. And that should be enough for these Farseer to do quite a bit of work. It also means that these 10 shots that were fired from the burst did way less damage. And with that, I think 2 giants, 2 hackers, and 2 Farseers still alive. That is going to be plenty. And that is how we close out in 6 rounds, dealing with these Phantoms. Radiance, I think, is the best counter to it, obviously, but Farseer does a pretty decent job against it as well. It does start struggling to intercept against the burst mode, but the Farseer shots in general are good against the Phantoms. And then Fangs, honestly, are not that bad either, or just chaff in general to stall the Phantoms. They need some type of chaff there, which is, I think, what my opponent was struggling with. And we managed to make good use of our speed spec here, barely losing any hit points. We still had 5k, more than 5k remaining, and yeah, getting the advanced power system on speed spec is just something else. 22 meters a second hacker, a really funny sight. So would recommend trying this out sometimes, not every game, but if you think that you can get away with it, it is a pretty funny thing. Either way, if you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you thought about it. If you want to stay up to date with all my latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. And with that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.